What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you. Right off the top, guys, I am going to ask you to please, sir, give me a like. Would you mind, please, if you just hit the like button right there, sir? I'd like some more. And also, share the video. Share if you like what you see. If you just want to say, look at this idiot right here, you want to just share it with your friends. You got to see this fool to believe it. Share it. Also, subscribe, guys. Make sure you remain subscribed because you guys know YouTube, they play me like a yo-yo. They play me like they just throw me out, bring me back in, throw me out, bring me back in, do the little walk the dog, all that stuff. So make sure you remain subscribed. Also, guys, if you care to contribute to the channel, I seem to have lost my styrofoam cup, but if you care to contribute to the channel, you may do so through the Super Thanks feature on each and every one of my videos right along the bottom of the screen there. And also, I left a Cash App link in the pinned comment below. Yeah, I did that. Yeah. So if you want to contribute to the channel, feel free. I really do appreciate it, guys. And of course, I appreciate you being here. Now, at this moment in time right here, I'd like to discuss how I felt about Fantastic Four. It just came out this weekend, and I had a chance to see it. So let's get into how I felt about this, guys. But let's just get something straight right here, guys. If you've been paying attention, you might have noticed that when it comes to movies that come out these days, TV shows, things like that, it just seems to be a green light for everyone to start arguing. People like it, people don't like it, and they attack each other over their stance on all of this. And I feel like it's unfortunate. But understand this, my man. I don't care if you see this movie or not. I'm not a shill. I'm not a review bomber. I'm none of that stuff. I'm just trying to tell you how I felt about it, okay? So there it is. These are my impressions of Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, this movie was directed by Matt Shake It Up, Shake It Up, Shake It Up, baby. Matt Shakeman. And if I could sum up right off the top in one word how I felt about Fantastic Four First Steps, it would be satisfied. Yeah. I was satisfied. I was. Guys, I want you to know off top my history with the Fantastic Four. I That was the first comic my mom ever put into my hands when I was just a little child. I remember we were walking through Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, and they had newsstands. I don't know if they still have newsstands or not in Manhattan. I'm pretty sure they do. But she was looking to, I guess, to keep me occupied. She was doing something. I can't remember what we were doing, but she bought me this comic, and it was the Fantastic Four. And that was pretty much my gateway into everything, into all of it. Because once I started reading the Fantastic Four, it really just exploded my imagination. I wanted more. I love these characters. I love Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman or the Invisible Girl, the Human Torch, and of course the Thing. The Thing meant everything to me. Now, I'm not going to get into that. I've talked about that a lot, but he's my favorite character in the world. He really is. I've got characters that I love, but the Thing he was my first. Okay, so the Fantastic Four. I got a lot of love for that, man. So it's been a very frustrating endeavor being a Fantastic Four fan over these last years because I've wanted to see it on the big screen in the right way. I kind of felt like we got close with the Jessica Alba stuff, the early 2000s and everything. That was kind of enough to scratch my itch a little bit there, but I knew it wasn't really the definitive Fantastic Four that I was really looking for because in my mind, I always felt like the Fantastic Four needs to be in the 60s. It just needs to be. Everything about its sensibilities, to me, it's the 60s. And that includes especially their names, Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Girl, the Human Torch, the Thing, all of that to me just felt like the 60s. And when you read the comics, the way Stan Lee wrote it and the way Jack Kirby drew it, that was just the aesthetic, man. So I knew that until we got the Fantastic Four in the 60s, I would not be satisfied. Well, glory, glory, hallelujah. When I found out that this movie was going to be a period piece set in the 60s, sort of, because it's on an alternate Earth. What is this, like the 828, the 815, the 212, the 610? I don't know. It's like they got these like area codes, man. But anyway, this is not the 616, I believe it is, that we're used to with the MCU. So not only is it a different time period, but it's a different universe, you know? And I mean, I told you before, guys, really, I don't like the multiverse thing, but this really doesn't play into that too much. It's like its own contained story, almost like a one shot. You don't have to watch anything before this. You don't necessarily have to watch anything after this. You know what I mean? Even though if you stay for the post credit scene, it does kind of lead into something else. But if you just take the movie on its own, it's it is what it is. It's very self-contained. Okay, so let's just get into a brief synopsis of what's going on here, guys. You got the Fantastic Four. They're about 4 years into their hero ship. You know, the world loves them. And this is the thing about having it be set in the 60s. I don't know if a lot of you who have seen this noticed, but the world just feels different. People feel different, you know? So you just feel this naive aspect of people, you know, when they're the way they react to the Fantastic Four, you know, the way that they praise the Fantastic Four, the way they look to them for protection. You know, it's a whole different feel. And I really do appreciate that, guys. The world building here is amazing. So, and there's so much to see. You know, I got to give them credit for this, guys. There's so much to see when you're just looking at this. I got to see this again, and I'd love to see it on the IMAX. Unfortunately, I saw this in the theater where I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience where you've gone to the movies and it feels like the volume is up to like 5 when it should be on 10. But that was the only one that I could get into. I had to be up early the next morning and all that stuff, and I really wanted to see it. So I'm like, okay, I'll go see this one. And it just seemed like the volume was like so low, right? So it was kind of underwhelming in that way because there was just so much to hear. There was so much to see. I mean, it was just alive. That's the thing, you know, New York, it was kind of a retro futuristic version of the 60s, you know, so it was kind of different and it took a lot of imagination. That's the reason why I give them so much credit because people were inspired who did this. People worked hard who did this. And I really do respect that. Sometimes you can see a movie and you'll be like, shit, they weren't even trying. You know, this one was not like that. Say what you will about the plot, about the performances, the actual look, the sound, the feel of the movie was top notch. You haven't seen a movie like this in a long time, right? So you got the Fantastic Four. They're adored by the public. Life is good. You know, everything's going well. And all of a sudden, you get a visit from Shalla-Bal. This would be the Silver Surfer or the female Silver Surfer. And she comes down to tell people, hello, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is you're not going to have to pay your mortgage, your car payment, all of your bills. Don't worry about your college tuition. You won't be paying any of that anymore, which leads me to the bad news. You're all going to die. Yeah, you too. Yeah, you too. For I have come to herald the coming of Galactus. And Galactus, he's going to eat all of you. All of this, all of you, all of this, he's going to eat it all, right? He's eating your planet. It's Elva, okay? So you know that cute girl in HR that you've been looking at, that you've been kind of scared to talk to? You better go get that because you don't have much longer. You know what I'm saying? Say your goodbyes, say your hellos, whatever. It's all about to be over. So, of course, your Fantastic Four, everyone is looking to them now, which was an interesting thing to me because immediately they took ownership of the situation. Now, I understand that they're superheroes. Everyone knows that they went through the cosmic storm, all of that. But my thing was, where was the military? You know what I mean? Like, where was the president? Did we see that? Like, did we see, like, it would have been nice just to have a little bit of that going on since they did such a great job with world building. Like, how do they relate to the government or the world governments for that matter? What does that even look like? I mean, it doesn't take long to show that. But of course, the Fantastic Four, they step up. It's their movie. Of course, it's not called the government. It's called the Fantastic Four. So they step up and they're like, this Galactus person, let's go talk to him. So they follow Shalabal to her leader. Take me to your leader. They're able to trace them and or her. So they go to see Galactus. They're like, Galactus, baby, what's going on? Like, can we can talk this out, right? And Shalabal says you shouldn't have come here. And I do appreciate the fact that if you guys noticed, she was directly looking at Sue when she said that you shouldn't have come here. It's like she knew. Okay. Because what we learned early on in the film, like right away, is that Sue is pregnant. Now, once again, these are not spoilers. Everyone knows this. Don't come into my comments talking about thanks a lot, Mark. Stop the bullshit. You already knew that part. Okay. So Galactus is like, I don't know what to tell you. I got to satisfy this hunger. I don't want the hunger, but I've got the hunger. The hunger will be satisfied. Why should you be any different than that planet? You literally just saw me get finished eating a planet because they did. What makes you think that your planet is going to be any different? I got to have it, he says, right? Now, he scans them, just randomly scans them. And he's like, hold on. You got a baby right there. He's seeing that Sue is pregnant and he just jumps on some Teddy Pendergrass. Sue got what I want. Sue got what I need. Only Sue, baby, only Sue, Sue. You got to be an old R&B head to know that reference. Teddy Pendergrass, you got what I want. Okay, so anyway, Galactus is like, okay, this is going to change things. Here's what I'm going to do for you guys. I won't eat your planet if you give me the baby. Give me the baby. Okay. Now, they're like, well, Sue's like, no. Reed has got a more scientifical, like, reasonable, logical kind of mind, like cold scientific mind. So when Galactus is like, you're going to give me the baby, Reed is kind of like, and then he looks at Sue, he's kind of like, yeah, we could, looks at Sue. No, we're not going to do that. Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth, right? So now they're like, nah, we can't do it, right? So Galactus is like, no, you're giving me the baby. I'm not going for that. So they make a run for it, right? And this was like one of my favorite sequences in the whole movie. They make a run for it. And I'm not even going to get into everything that happens here, but it's very exciting. It's very visual. And the music is going bananas. That's something I got to make a point about, guys. The music here is so cinematic. I haven't heard a musical score be a character in a movie in a long time. This one actually achieves that. It takes me back, to John Williams. I mean, it really does, because it brings these scenes alive. There's so much inspiration behind it. You know what I mean? And it gets to pulsating and you feel it. And I really like that, man. It should be theatrical. It should be. So for the first time in a long time, I might pick up this score. I've been listening to the theme all weekend. I love it. The you guys counted off 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, it's pretty cool, man. So it goes from there. And a lot goes on, man. A lot of great performances, a lot of action sequences and things like that. I will say that there are some downtime. There's downtimes in this movie. So I will say there are points where it kind of lags a little bit, where the action, but you would expect that because this movie here, basically it's a Reed Richards, Sue Richards, or Sue Storm movie. It concerns them. It concerns their child, what they would do for their child. All the desperation and pressure they feel comes from that, because after they got away from Galactus and Shalabal and got back to Earth, on Earth, they were like, they trust the Fantastic Four. So automatically they were like, so how'd it go? We're safe now, right? Like, what did he say? And they have to be like, Rita's like, I don't think we're safe. What he was asking, it costs too much. Well, what's he asking for? He's asking for our baby, and Sue already delivered the baby on the way back. So everyone sees her holding the baby. And they're like, well, give it to him. It's like if you're talking about the price of the world, you can have another baby, but no, no, they're not going to do this, which is the reason why it was brilliant to have this set in the 60s. Because, of course, if it were set present day, I mean, people abort their kids for less than the world. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't even be a story plot. It'd just be like, okay, off to the clinic we go. Here you go, Galactus. Here, take it. You know what I mean? But no, here it's an actual issue, and I do appreciate that, guys, because life, motherhood, is something that's valued in this movie, and I love to see it. It's a beautiful thing. You don't see it enough. So now they have to deal with that, guys. And like I said, this is Reed and Sue's movie, pretty much. All right. So there will be some lulls because you have to account for Reed's calculations and the bond between them, which was done very well, as a married couple and everything like that. You can see the arguments they got into, but they still loved each other. The family unit was very strong here, guys, because of course Ben and Johnny were going to back them up. They were going to protect their nephew at all costs, even if the world was like, "You're selfish. We're all going to die for this baby." Nah. But they all stuck together. It was great. It was a family thing. So I really did have a good time with it. Like I said, the pacing could be a little bit slow at times, so it's not like it's wall to wall action. But guys, let's get into the performances here, okay? Because I don't want this to go too long, but let's do this, okay? We got here. We'll start off with Reed Richards, okay? As played by Pedro Pascal. What can I say here? Pedro Pascal. I don't like this guy. I feel that he is way overexposed. I don't like his politics. I don't like him on social media. I don't like his takes on just about everything I see him talking about. Um, and I really did think that he was going to be a deal breaker here. But here's the thing, guys. You might remember when I talked about this early on, and I remember talking about this on the Dark Council stream. And I said, you know what I see happening here? Pedro Pascal, the best thing that he could do is redefine Reed Richards because he can't play classic Reed Richards. He is miscast, and that belief has not changed. He is miscast. All right, but he did redefine Reed Richards in a way where he kept a good portion of who Reed was, but he did have to redefine the character because his Reed Richards is insecure, very vulnerable, very unsure. Yes, the parts of Reed that are true is that he loves Sue. He loves, his teammates. He loves Ben. He's got a friendship with Ben, Johnny. Things like that. They're family. They are, but he's not this guy here. Okay, he's not this guy. This is Reed Richards. Look at him. Reed Richards is confident. All right. Almost arrogant. Yes, he can be something of an absent-minded professor. Yes, he can be preoccupied with what he's doing and things like that to the point of distraction. But this man here is very much sure of himself. Reed Richards is a leader. All right. He has made mistakes. One thing they didn't touch on in this movie is that Reed has a debt, a burden that he carries, that his best friend, Ben Grimm, has been turned into a thing because he followed Reed Richards on that fateful day in that experiment. He's very much dedicated to helping Ben return to his form, his human form. Keep in mind, Ben Grimm, the Thing, is not just a name. He called himself the Thing because he recognized that he wasn't human anymore. And there's a lot of heartbreak in that. It took a long time for Ben Grimm to be the wisecracking, reliable, loyal friend that you see him as, in this movie. So they kind of skipped over that, but that's a huge part of who Reed Richards is, So Pedro playing him as if he's insecure, as if he constantly needs reassurance from Sue and all of that stuff. I know this is supposed to be the new masculinity and everything like that, but that's bullshit. That's not who the character is. Reed is a leader. He's a selfless leader. He's a dedicated leader, and he's an effective leader. Pedro was not that. Okay, so even though Pedro Pascal is a talented actor, he is effective. He's passionate, and I think that's what gets him over the top. Pedro Pascal is very, very passionate. Ever since I saw him in Game of Thrones as Oberyn Martell, you can feel his passion that he brings to these things, you know? And I think that's how he gets over, you know, with these various roles that he takes and everything. He's definitely passionate. He's undeniably that. So it won't turn you off, you know, him being there and everything. But make no mistakes about it. He's not this guy, okay? He's not that guy. He's not that guy, okay? Now, moving on, let's get into Vanessa Kirby. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Sue Richards, the Invisible Girl, the Invisible Woman. Actually, guys, as soon as she appeared on screen, I said, you know what? She's perfect. You know, I had my hangups about her initially in the cast as well because I haven't seen her in anything. You guys might know her from other stuff. I do not. Okay. But once she got started, I was like, you know what? This is supposed to be 4 years in, okay? Because I wanted her to be that scared little girl that first started off in the Fantastic Four, the Invisible Girl who was always scared and Reed, darling, save me and everything. But okay, they're 4 years in. So her playing the Invisible Woman now, being a little bit more self-assured. I like her look. You know, Sue Storm, Sue Richards should look about like this. So I had no problem with her. The way she played her was very strong. She was very confident. You know, she was very supportive of Reed. And as a mother, she never wavered at all. You know, that was very strong. And that really put her over the top with me because I was like, okay, how is she going to be all strong and all this stuff this early on? But she had Franklin. And quite honestly, guys, it's one of the things that I'm always in awe about with a lot of moms that I meet are the ones that are very, very much protective of their children. Now, I think when I saw Aliens, that's the thing that I love so much about Ripley. You know, once her mother instinct got activated to save Newt and to protect Newt, it was a glorious thing to behold. You know, when a woman gets into that protective mother bear mode, you know, and she did it perfectly. So, you know, definitely hats off to her. She did her job, man. You know, I enjoyed her performance. All right, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. He did a good job. You know, he did a good job. I'm not going to compare him to Chris Evans or anything like that. I do think for what we have here, I enjoyed his performance. You know, I really did. He's always been, to me, a likable actor ever since I saw him as Eddie Munson in Stranger Things. And I see him in interviews and things like that. He really comes across well. He's charismatic, man. It's like he's almost got a Robert Downey Jr. kind of presence. You know, he's got kind of a dry wit. You know, he's the one to watch when you know somebody is going to say something, you know, that's out of line. You know, so he was good, man. He was good. And you know, the funny thing about it is that in the promos and the trailers and stuff, they're talking about Ben Grimm or the Thing not saying it's clobbering time. Well, unless I missed it, guys, you can let me know. I don't recall Johnny saying flame on, which I was looking forward to just as much as it's clobbering time. So he's telling Ben to say it, say it. I'm like, Johnny, you say it, say it. And I don't recall him saying it. So I don't know. But the way he like flames on and the way he flies off, perfectly done, man. It's like the special effects, like I said before, everything looks good. When he's on fire, it looks good. When he takes off, when he's flying, everything looks believable. You know, it's great. Joseph Quinn, believable as Sue's brother, you know. He didn't really have much to play off of in terms of women. You know, he did kind of flirt with Shalabal a little bit. And you can see it's in there and everything. But that classic Johnny Storm flirtatious, wannabe playboy, woman chaser thing wasn't really delved into, you know, as much in this one. But like I said, this one was primarily concerning Reed and Sue. So that meant kind of that Johnny and Ben kind of had to take a back seat, although he did have something very important to add to it to do in terms of relating to Shalabal and everything. So, you know, he did his thing. It was definitely good, and I am satisfied, like I said before, with the performance of Joseph Quinn. Now, let's get into the thing. Ben Grimm, all right, played by Eben Moss Bacharach. First of all, the look of the thing is freaking awesome. It's perfect. I love it. Looks just the way John Byrne used to draw him. It's a throwback, and I just love it. They got the blue eyes going on. And his face, man, his face was unexpectedly, surprisingly expressive. There were times when the script called for a tender moment, or even insight, where he's just looking at something like, there's something going on here. And it's in the face, this rocky face. So they did a great job with that, man. I wish they had captured his classic voice a little bit better. Like I wanted that New York accent. I wanted that gravelly voice. I wanted more of a wise ass, wise cracking, maybe chomping on a cigar type thing. Ben Grimm, the thing for the longest time in Marvel, was right up there with Spider-Man, Wolverine, Ben Grimm. Like he was one of the poster characters for Marvel for a long time. When you wanted to see a team up, a lot of times you wanted to have Ben Grimm in that mix, the thing. So he's a huge, huge personality. And like I said, the clobbering time thing, as it turns out, they didn't give him a whole lot to clobber. That was the danger, I guess, the cost of starting off with Galactus. Galactus is too big to clobber, and there's not much else going on. Like it would have been nice if when they went to go see Galactus, if maybe he had robots, security robots or something. Just give Ben something to pound, to clobber. But they didn't do that. Even if you showed us the reel, because this thing starts off with an old timey newsreel, showing them fighting some of their classic villains, like Mole Man and Red Skeleton, with the space apes or whatever it was. It's like show Ben duking it out. It's clobbering time and just go off, you know, just to show how powerful he is. But they really didn't give him that. So there wasn't much of an opportunity to showcase his mighty, mighty power and his strength and for him to say it's clobbering time. There wasn't much of that. So hopefully, maybe in the next one, we'll get Ben something to clobber. That would be nice. But other than that, guys, he was good. He was good. I mean, minus something to clobber, he just came off as kind of a glorified babysitter because a lot of times he was the one that was stuck holding Franklin. But I just enjoyed seeing him this way, man. It's been a long time, and they did a good job with him. So now we get to the Silver Surfer, the female Silver Surfer, Shalla-Bal. And of course, she was played by Julia Garner, and she did a good job, man. When she comes out and she's like, I herald Galactus. Actually, it was frightening. You're talking about an end of the world event. She's in the sky. The sky is dark, almost on fire. Everybody can hear her, and she's telling everyone at the same time, your time is up. Your planet, there's going to be no survivors. You're all going to die. That was very effective, and the way she was pursuing the Fantastic Four, the way she was going after the baby, kind of had a little bit of a Terminator 2 feel. Like, oh my God, she's not going to give up. She was just chasing, pursuing, hot pursuit. So she was just doing that, and it lent way to a good amount of tension, or at least excitement. So I was pleased. I was pleased about that. So she did a good job. I know a lot of people are hung up on the fact that it wasn't, our Silver Surfer, Norrin Radd and everything, but for what it was, and being that this was a different dimension, a different universe, I can accept it. She was effective doing what she did. It wasn't like she was just there to check off a box and that's the way it played out on screen. She was effective in what she was doing. So, that was good. That was a good part of it. Now we move to Galactus. And of course, Galactus was played by Ralph Ineson. And like I said, well, this is actually a figure, a model, but you get the point. The design, the freaking design was flawless. Just Jack Kirby would be crying, to see his creation come to life and it's not a cloud or something like that. And like I said, when you first see him, it is frightening. That is a frightening figure with the eyes glowing. And when he spoke, you felt the tremble, you know. So it was a really good depiction of Galactus. Galactus made it known he doesn't really want this hunger, but he has to serve it. You know what I mean? So there's no getting out of it. And watching him walk through the city and everything, great effects, man. Great effects. It just you just felt it. You felt the menace. You felt the impending doom. You didn't know how they were going to get out of it. You knew they were, but you know, like I said, they were really in over their heads, and it was very, very effective. You know, watching Galactus in the form that he was meant to be seen in. You know, just so menacing. It was great. You know, so to wrap this thing up, guys, the Fantastic Four. And also I gotta say, Herbie, they did a good job with Herbie, didn't try to steal the show or anything like that. But I should also say too, guys, the potential is great here for merchandising as well. You know, the Fantastic Car, Herbie, the action figures. You just saw Galactus, as a model there. Um, it had it all, and like I said, the music, the theme, everything came together to give me a very pleasant experience. And as a lifelong Fantastic Four fan, um, I have to say that I was pleased. I was pleased with what I saw. I was so happy to see the Fantastic Four taken seriously, to see it inspired, to hear music that helped boost it up, that gave it the personality that it needed. And I just had a great time with it, guys. I'm not ashamed to say that. These days, I just think that people are actually afraid to use the L word with movies because they don't want to argue with people. I loved this movie. Doesn't mean that the movie was flawless, but I really, really respect the labor that went into this movie, the technical aspect of the movie. Like I said, the musicality of the movie, the score, the performances. I don't feel like anybody phoned it in. So on my scale, which is a scale of flushes, you guys know if you get 0 flushes, it means it's a classic. It means no shit involved at all. If you get up to 4 flushes, it means that it's full of shit. Never watch it. I hate it. 4 flushes and a plunger, it's even worse. And anything in between the 0 to 4 flushes is where the critique comes in. I'm going to give Fantastic Four First Steps 1 flush. Okay, 1 flush. And that's only because of my hangups with the Thing. I wish that the Thing had gotten a little bit more to do, but something tells me, guys, and I meant to bring this up. Something tells me that this thing was cut up a certain way, like editing. I'm talking about. It was a relatively short movie, MCU by MCU standards, but there was some character development that I feel might have been there, especially with the Thing, that didn't make it into the movie. So I didn't feel like his character was as fleshed out as it could have been. It's easy to see that that's the case. So I will give it that 1 flush just because of that, and also there was a little bit of a slow pace, maybe in the middle or so. But other than that, guys, this is definitely one of my favorites and definitely puts the MCU uh, on a good on a good road. You know what I mean? A good trajectory. I was impressed by it. So there it is, guys. 1 flush for the Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, guys, it's your turn. I want to know, what did you think about this movie? Did you see the movie? Do you plan on seeing the movie? Is Pedro Pascal a deal breaker for you? If he is, I respect that, guys. It's kind of like what I was talking about with James Gunn and Superman. If these people would just learn how to shut the hell up and let their performances, let their art speak for itself, it would go such a long way. But for those of you who did see it, get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this, guys. As always, you can like, you can share, and you can subscribe. Of course, you can donate to the channel through the Super Thanks feature, as well as the Cash App that is in the pinned comment below. All right, guys, thank you for listening. I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.